What's up, guys? Tambo here with your weekly core report. This last week was our biggest ever for our members, including 2 more millionaires. Let's get to the winners. NFL was our biggest cash cow last week, highlighted by some great calls across all of our content, including JT Hayes being all over the 49ers game script on Sunday. Subscribe to our YouTube page now so you don't miss calls like this.
A little bit like the San Francisco defense, 3,200. I think Todd Bowles is a terrible head coach. And I think they'll come in with a terrible game plan in this game. And I think they could get wiped. I think it means a lot of touches for Christian McCaffrey. So if you simply pivot from Henry to McCaffrey, that's a huge ownership discount.
In addition, our cores and player pools were littered with the highest scoring players on the slate. Our members were in sync with our content, and the leaderboards proved it. Peter Pan 14 kicked things off, hitting for $117K in NFL Showdown. J-Dub 115 hit for $7K. Sammy Davis Jr. hit for $10K. OG member Brittany turned $75 into $11K. J. Ree won $30K. CSP 246 shipped $40K. Craven or Vad used Mangones and my weekly construction advice to hit for $40K. And K. Phallic hit for $46K with a Russell Wilson lineup. We'll get to our biggest NFL winners in just a second, but first we need to shout out some big wins in our other sports. Our content continued to crush in the soccer streets, with NYG fan hitting for $10K. K. Phallic's hot streak continued in the World Cup, shipping for $27K. In NBA, Long Dick Dong hit for $7K, while in MMA, Sevens Vox shipped a monster $51K. At Rumpier Sports, we take pride in featuring content contributors who actually make a living playing DFS. We put our money behind our picks on every slate, unlike many of our competitors. There's nothing better than when our members benefit from our content, and this week was the best week yet, producing 2 DraftKings Millie Maker winners to follow up last week's Millie Maker success. Shout out to Deepwater, who shipped $1 million in the 44-44. And huge shout out as well to Gordon Jonathan. He shipped the $20 Millionaire Maker with a monster score of 272 DK points, blowing away the competition. Congrats again to all our members. If you want to be featured in the core report, drop your winning lineup in the Members Never Win channel in our premium Discord. If you're not a member, join now. You won't find a better value with all sports included for one low price. And while you're watching, hit that like button now. Remember, if you're not winning with us, you're watching us win. Until next time, let's keep running pure.
Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to the Tournament First Look over here on Run Pure Sports. And we are with you as we are each and every single week. Guys, click that like button, click that subscribe button. You know the drill. We're happy to be joining you. We're happy to talk a little bit of football. We're going to be talking about NFL week. I don't, whatever the hell week it is. It's week 3000. I don't know. But we got Locks coming straight off this NFL final. Locks, how you doing?
Doing well. Good trip down to New Orleans. Not the best weather, but hey, always nice to get away. Excited for another week with you guys. Glad to be back and just ready to pick some winners again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. AP, how you doing on this beautiful Wednesday?
Yeah, doing really well. I mean, we have a blizzard coming in right now, so my kids are off school. And, as we were talking before the show, my sister-in-law also had her baby, so we're watching their girls. And my wife is gone running errands right now, doing Christmas stuff. And so it's me and a ton of little kids. And so this should be a ton of fun.
So how do you get to the office with a ton of little kids? So I've got my 4-year-olds here, and he's literally standing 2 feet from me, just like trying to figure out what's going on. Like, I don't know how you could possibly do 4
gave
kids.
them instructions. I'm in my office and I said, only emergencies you come in. Someone better be like dying or something, and then you come bug me.
you run a tight ship, man. I keep the door open. I say, here's some Cheerios. Like, you do what you got to do. If you pop your head in, that's okay.
The invention of the iPad is a great one to keep kids distracted, Crain.
Hey, you know what? Somebody who's sitting a couple feet from me is getting a new one of those for Christmas. So, nice. Yeah, he's just looking at me like, ooh, what am I getting for Christmas? Yeah, that's just how it goes. You can find out in about 3 bleeping days. But yeah, Locks, was happy for you with the run. I wish you condolences before the game.
What were you guys' thoughts like last week too? Because like one thing that like, so I bet on the Texans. I was all show like that show. I was saying I was worried about that game. I thought it was going to be tough, which is why I was so high on Pacheco. And what I got wrong, and I got to just say, what I got wrong is I knew the game was going to be close. I thought the Chiefs would lean on the run, but with it being close, they leaned on their RB1, who was McKinnon now. So it's like we got to understand in any situation where they want their most trusted guy in there, it's going to be a McKinnon day. Like that is his job. They trust him far more. Like Pacheco missed so many bad like blocks, like to protect Mahomes. They do not trust him in passing situations. So something just to keep in mind.
I mean, this is kind of the time of year with the Chiefs where they say, okay, you know what? We are a passing team. We're just going to throw the ball a ton. We're not going to run it a million times with Pacheco. We're not going to run it a ton with Jerick McKinnon. We're just going to give it in the arm of Patrick Mahomes. And that means that those checkdowns to the running back. So McKinnon's a guy that I should have had interest in moving, last week. I didn't. I'm not going to make that same mistake again. Locks, are you going to make that mistake again? Are you going to go back to Pacheco?
No, and I didn't play Pacheco. I didn't play McKinnon either. I figured they were going to throw it. I had Mahomes and Kelsey actually on my main team. So I made the right call there. I didn't think McKinnon could go back-to-back weeks, but he looks like
I like that team that you had, Locks. That was a good team.
Yeah, he looks like the stud. And a funny story about that team. Last year I made a change that cost me a bunch of money at that thing. I couldn't sleep the night before. I was up till 3:30. I made that team. I literally never opened DraftKings until the final started. I left it from 3:30 in the morning all the way till we started because I was happy with it. And just missed it by a couple players.
It's funny. I was scrolling through, Facebook does like 7 years ago this happened. And 7 years ago popped up where they had that big DK Live final that had 5 million up top. And I had 3 entries in it. And I was the same way. I couldn't sleep the night before. I was so excited. It was going to be, I thought, it was going to be a great day. Anyways, I got 3 of the bottom 4 spots or 3 of the bottom 5 spots. It was something like that with my quarterbacks of Phillip Rivers, Aaron Rodgers, and Derek Carr. It's not good if 7 years ago, 2 of those guys are still playing in the league. Maybe shouldn't have gone with the young guys. All right, let's talk about this week because we have got a week that it's a little bit weird. It's a Saturday. We've got a bunch of totals that are tiny. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 totals under 40. AP, do you remember a time ever seeing that many games that have totals that low?
It's like the opposite of NBA right now. NBA, these totals are crazy and they continue to go over. Speaking of that, cash though the Jazz last night. And make sure that you if you're watching, check the bets rundown show. Spread Tyler, those guys crushed. They bring us on randomly as guests too. I think C-Dome is on today. It's always such a good time, but overs in the NBA and then unders in the NFL seems like a real narrative right now.
Yeah, I mean, these games are, and you don't want any of them. They're not even like games where you're just like, oh, the Raiders and Steelers. Do I want anybody? Not really. And Locks, you know me, I like these games where these weeks where I can just cross games off. And that's kind of what this week feels like to me.
Yeah, it feels like there's a lot of spots that we can do that. I mean, all these low totals, picked a couple high totals and run with it. You could easily do that. So yeah, which should be interesting to see where we each want to pick our spots, and let's dive in, right?
Yeah, let's dive into the quarterback position because we've got a few guys questionable. I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to go. That total just dropped too much, which means that we have a little Gardner Minshew at 4,800. Josh Allen, he's listed as questionable right now. He's been questionable for 6 weeks. I expect him to go. Lamar doesn't sound like he's going to come back, but he's currently listed as questionable. I've got a guy that's a little bit cheaper too that I don't mind, but let's just start at the top because right now it's the Patrick Mahomes show. We just got done talking about how this offense is going to operate through the pass. They get a Seattle team that is going to be missing Tyler Lockett. Will they be able to keep up with the Chiefs? Maybe not. AP, I'm not sure that matters right now because to me, it's the final push. It feels to me like the Chiefs are just going to go into FU mode and just start airing it out on everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the one thing to keep in mind is it's going to be so cold here in the Midwest. Like tomorrow, it's literally supposed to be like minus 20, minus 30.
Okay, the forecast for my town for Friday morning, and I'm in the Midwest, is -2 with a wind chill of -25 and 25-mile-an-hour winds. Fucking absurd.
Crazy. And it's like, so a couple things is this is the time of the year where just keep double check what the weather's doing. Like, yeah, does temperature impact a game like, like winds would golf or anything like that? I mean, it's to debate. I don't feel good in the cold. I don't know about you guys. Like, you're not moving as fast, so it does have an impact.
Everybody wants to play these defenses in the cold, but guess what? It's really hard to tackle dudes when it's that cold too.
Yeah. But yeah, as far as like quarterbacks go, so I talked about it last week, and I actually played him in one just because anytime I get bullied or laughed at on a play, I always have to play it. Just it's a good narrative. And, it's funny when they crush, but I played Davis Mills in one just because quarterbacks going against Kansas City have just been crushing. And the problem is they kept rotating in Driscoll, and I knew that going into it. Dude, like, why, man? Mills was like balling out, more than Driscoll getting in there. I mean, a running quarterback that can't really run. I didn't get it at all. But so I think Geno is somewhat interesting in that game with a higher total against the Chiefs, just because of the opportunity that's going to be had, from a game script standpoint. And then, you could go back to Davis Mills at 5-1.
You can't go back to stop it. I'm going to bully you into it. I'm going to bully you to a way that you don't do it. You can't.
I will. All right. So I will put a bet out there for so what did Herbert do last week? I will say Davis Mills outscores Herbert. You want that?
Herbert did dick.
Exactly. So you want the bet or not, Craig?
I like that call.
Davis Mills outscore. Anyways, so a couple things. Mahomes, interesting, just because I agree with you guys. Like, time of the year where it's like, stop messing around. They have to win out. We said it last week too. They have to win out because they need the Bills to lose a game, and they have to win out to get home field advantage for the playoffs, which is massive. You want it going through Arrowhead. You do not want to go through Buffalo at all. Trust me on that. So, I mean, the Chiefs are going to be plenty motivated. So, yeah, I think Patrick Mahomes firmly in play. I also think, Justin Fields is incredible. Yeah. It's like, I mean, they got nothing to play for right now, but that didn't matter. 15 rush attempts last week against Philly. He was 5 yards shy of 100 yards. And, 7,500 seems a little bit interesting. Tougher matchup here against Buffalo, but still, like, if the Bears are in it to win it, and Fields is, starting and everything looks good, I do think he is in play. But I don't know, quarterback, just, on the surface here, first look is interesting. I find myself looking at Geno Smith, looking at Pat Mahomes, and, some of these guys down here. I think Jared Goff too, maybe. And I mean, the Lions, I don't know what you guys think, but the Lions they look good, man. They look like a team now. Yeah, what are they, like 5 or 6 wins in a row? This team is somewhat legit.
Yep. I mean, they've been good.
Okay. Where would you put them as far as, like, if you had a top 10 power rankings right now? Would they be in it or not? Or close?
God, I don't know. Like, they have to be close. They've been crushing it so much lately. I don't think they would quite make the top 10. You'd be top 13 or so, though? Yeah, sure. All right, so, Lox, I'm going to throw it to you. By the way, AP, you did not mention the quarterback that I'm going to get bullied on. I'll get to that in a second. Lox, when you're looking at this upper tier or this lower tier, does anybody interest you?
Just looking up at the top right away. I mean, Mahomes looks like a smash again against Seattle. Josh Allen's in a good spot against Chicago. They're both used to the cold, so him and Justin Fields are definitely interesting in a possible high-scoring game. Do we know if Lamar's back this week? Is he still questionable?
I don't think he's going to be back.
Okay. I mean, then that actually interests me a little bit in Tyler Huntley against the freaking
Falcons. Lox said the name of the guy I wanted.
So that's a guy that I'm interested in. Pairing him with Mark Andrews, I really wouldn't put him with anybody else. So that's definitely some interest there for me. And then down below, I wouldn't mind Davis Mills. I mean, Tennessee's passing defense isn't really that good. We saw Herbert suck against it last week, but definitely interesting if you want to spend down. I'm with AP. He's going to outscore Justin Herbert from last week. So definitely a lot of ways you can go here. It's just going to be based on how we want to build our teams. So I'd say my favorite one, looking at it right away, is probably Mahomes. I just think he's in a great spot against Seattle to crush again. I'd pair him with Kelsey and McKinnon.
Yeah, Huntley was the guy that I have some interest in. I know he's just been awful. And assuming Lamar misses, look, this Atlanta defense is nothing to be concerned about. And we know the rushing is going to be there. I think he can be more efficient throwing the ball. He can be more efficient running the ball. But also you have some issues now with J.K. Dobbins. We don't know if he's going to be healthy. So I don't know. I don't think Huntley's crazy. Are either of you going way down to Gardner Minshew if Jalen Hurts misses? Just $4,800. Silence. By the way, guys, for those of you watching, it's not good when there's silence. It's not good.
No, I don't hate it. We this guy's won people $1 million before. The Cowboys defense, yeah, they're elite, but props to Snyder. He did help to salvage me some money last week. He was very high on Trevor Lawrence and those stacks, so I put a few in there, and those teams helped to salvage what was not a good week for me. So I'll take it. So I think Dallas has looked a little fraudulent. And before, God, all these Dallas guys are so damn sensitive out there. I'm not attacking you. I said the same thing about my own team, the Chiefs. They look a little bit fraudulent right now on defense. So it is what it is. It happens. I think you could make the case, man, you got two awesome stud receivers. I kind of like it. Easy to stack them with A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. I mean, I kind of like it, Crain.
I think I got laughed off. Was it this show or was it the Morning Wood when I said the Dallas defense was overrated?
I will not laugh at anyone's NFL takes this season because of what we've seen. Like anything can happen. So no, I'm not going to laugh at your Gardner Minshew take.
I think that was a Morning Wood show.
That was a Morning Wood show. Okay, I'm going to have to give those guys some crap then. I can't say the S word because I've got somebody just standing here right next to me. All right, let's move on to some running backs. Christian McCaffrey, he was, I believe, a limited participant at practice, but at home against Washington. Lots, I'm prioritizing McCaffrey this week, and I don't know, maybe not prioritizing. I shouldn't say that because another guy, Derrick Henry, we were talking about these low totals, and I know that Derrick Henry's in an awfully low total, but it is really tough for me to ignore a home matchup against the Texans. How do you fade one of these top two running backs? I want to play them both. I'm not sure it's possible, but I want to play both these guys.
Yeah, I mean, definitely interest in playing both the guys. Then you're going to have to play Gardner Minshew, Davis Mills, someone in that range.
Come on, Gardner, let's do it, baby.
So if you want to do that, that's a way you can get to these guys. It's hard to fade these guys. McCaffrey's a stud. Debo is still out, I think. It's just he's in a great spot against the Washington team. Derrick Henry's in a great spot against a horrible Houston run defense. So, yeah, I can see your interest there. And Barkley's in an interesting spot, too, in a probably high-scoring total game with Minnesota. So these top three guys, it's hard to get away from, but there's also spend downs that you can get to. J.K. Dobbins has looked like a stud. He's going against Atlanta. He's 5,800. So just guys like him down there is why I'm probably not spending up a whole ton at running back. I'll probably have one of these guys in the top three here. I'll have one of them in almost every lineup, or at least try to. But it's going to come down to build again. For me, I mean, Dalvin Cook's interesting. You got all these guys up here. Kenneth Walker against Kansas City is interesting to me. Jerick McKinnon against Seattle is in a smash spot like we just talked about with Mahomes. He's 5,900, so I don't mind going right back to him again. Definitely a lot of interest in a lot of these running backs. It's just pick your poison on if you want to spend up or spend down and where you're going elsewhere.
Yeah, you look at these top tier guys. I was just playing with my build. McCaffrey, Henry, Saquon. It doesn't leave a lot of meat on the bone for other positions. You have to go to like 3,500 a piece for the wide receiver. You can't even do that, man. You got to do like 3,500 a piece for wide receiver at that point, and I'm not so sure we have that much value on this slate. So yeah, I mean, you gotta have to like these guys. A guy like Alvin Kamara, like that was painful last week. I was all week in my head, I was making fun of the people who were going to play Kamara, and then my dumbass ended up playing him on sorry, hold on, buddy. Okay, that's great. So yeah, just there's a lot of guys here. McKinnon at 5,900. I don't know. AP, which of these guys are you interested in? I want a way to separate McCaffrey, Henry, and Saquon. It's just difficult for me to do so.
Yeah, I'm going right back to the Chiefs spot. I think McKinnon, he is the guy. And I think this game, like if I'm betting on this game, I'm taking the Seahawks +10. I just think there's something going on with the Kansas City defense right now. And I think it's going to be a game. So I think McKinnon is going to have a big role again. And we saw this last year. And the thing is we got to understand, like, this guy has a nice floor. I mean, look at the targets that he's getting. Look at how they're using him. Mahomes he's like Mahomes' guy right now. Safety valve, using him almost like a flex receiver, running back, like just hybrid type of guy. So Jared McKinnon, awesome play. And Christian McCaffrey, I think, man, like with how volatile running back has been, like Christian McCaffrey is a guy I just want to find a way to lock in and and take those points and move on. And I also like the matchup for him too. But one other guy, just going back to and thinking back to last week and watching Tyler Algier run all over the Saints, just absolutely murdered them. Nick Chubb is interesting, man. He was just shy of 100 yards.
He's questionable, by the way.
Is he really? Yeah. I mean, it's Wednesday. I haven't looked at injuries yet. The thing is with NBA every day, I don't worry about NFL injuries until the reports start coming out on Friday. So is that going to be Thursday this week?
We got to look at a few injuries. We got a show, man.
Yeah, but you guys, we do a good show too, an injury show. So that's where I get my injury information, Craig. But no, I think so.
I will say, if Chubb misses, like, I mean, it's like a 7-point total, but like, okay, good luck getting me off of Kareem Hunt at that point.
Yeah, actually. So speaking of best ball, if Chubb misses, that would help me. I have a Kareem Hunt build, or I have a Kareem Hunt, and my two that are left. So officially a best ball bro.
Yeah, you are the best ball bro. I was telling you before the show, first year I haven't done it, and it's sorry.
First year I have done it.
Yeah, my kid is asking me what my favorite shape is. Guys, do you have a favorite shape?
No.
Rectangle.
Rectangle. There you go. Can you draw a rectangle?
Because
take your time.
Dollar bills are a rectangle. So
that's what I like.
There you go.
Oh man, I said I wasn't sure how this was going to go with the kid being here. It's just us. But yeah,
you know who I'm not playing?
Who's that?
Dare Ogumbawe or whatever.
No, I'm not. Ogumbawe.
It was so painful. He was, anytime Jeff Driscoll was out there, who was right next to him? Darwe Ogumbawe. And Driscoll would just run the ball a -2 yards each time. That guy's terrible.
I'll play Royce Freeman. I'll play Royce Freeman before I play Ogunbowale.
Oh man,
Ogunbowale? I don't know.
Yeah, somebody in the chat said they're going to play DeAndre Swift this week, and DeAndre Swift is somebody that we've all tried to make happen. It's like fetch, and it's just not going to happen. You just can't. He's not getting the goal line work. He's getting 20 to 20 work. It's just like, if he breaks one, great, but it's just such a difficult situation to even try and mess with. So DeAndre Swift, not somebody that I'm messing with this week. Let's talk some wide receivers. Obviously, Justin Jefferson. I mean, the guy just keeps crushing. Over 33 in each of the last 2 games, over 32 in 3 of his last 4 games. He gets a Giants team that's not good. We were talking about, how do you fade Christian McCaffrey? How do you fade these other guys? Well, it's the same question here, Locks. How do you fade Justin Jefferson?
Easy if you're spending up at running back. You kind of got no choice.
Yeah, you got to. Yeah,
it's another one of those where I want to smash him in too. It's a guy that gets there every single week. It seems like when you fade him, you get pissed off that you did it. It's one of those guys that you feel like you have to have. So if I have to throw him and McCaffrey in a build, well, I'm gonna have to try to figure it out somewhere else. But definitely a lot of interest there against the Giants. Just looking at this first look, and this is the first time I've even looked at this. I was looking at the wrong slate, like I said before we started. So I forgot it was a Saturday slate. But yeah, looking up here, I'm looking at maybe DJ Moore against the Lions is interesting. Yeah. He's only $5,500, so I think that's too cheap for him. CeeDee Lamb is interesting against Philadelphia. Diggs against Chicago. Amon-Ra again against Carolina. I actually think he's in play here at $7,800 against Carolina this week. So if you're going to play a Lion, I wouldn't play Swift. I'd play Amon-Ra St. Brown at $7,800.
Yeah, you mentioned DJ Moore, and DJ Moore is definitely somebody I have interested in this week. Like Drake London almost crushed last week. Like he had 13 DK, he had 11 targets, and I told you guys, or at least I said on the Morning Wood, that Drake London was going to be somebody that Desmond Ridder looks to a lot because there's just nobody else. And these young, inexperienced quarterbacks, they tend to look at one guy, and they look at their number one guy, and that's Drake London. 11 targets last week, 12 targets the week before. I'm going to be back on Drake London. I wanted to get that in there. Sorry, Locks. I know you were going to talk about somebody else. My apologies, sir.
No, you're good. Kick it over to AP.
AP, who you got?
Yeah. So, I mean, trying to figure out how to get these safety valves in there is going to be interesting. I mean, Justin Jefferson, if you can find the 9,300, I'm with you guys. Great matchup. It's in a dome too. Maybe, Darius Slayton on the other side of this game, I think is interesting. Actually, going back to quarterback, Danny Dimes might be someone on our radar. Just Minnesota. What a bad team. Like, what impressive win. Very, very, very impressive win. I got to give them that. That was fun to watch, but man, like such a good spot for the Giants. It's just not a team that I enjoy targeting, but Darius Slayton has had some big games, seems to be the guy. 5,200, I think is pretty fair. If you want to get really ugly, you could and you need just a total punt, maybe Byron Pringle. He's been a guy that can find the end zone. I'm at 3,100, Crane. We need value. Good.
I get it.
Not the best.
I just wasn't expecting I wasn't expecting the Byron Pringle reference.
We also get McCole Hardman back this week. So I believe he's supposed to be back 3,800. Again, very, very difficult because of Kansas City, how many bodies that they have in there. And like what Locke said and what he did last week, why I really liked it is you could almost run just Mahomes naked right now because he could throw 5 touchdowns to 5 different receivers. That's just what it is. And so you could honestly pair, let's just say McCole Hardman was good to go. He's 3,800. You could pair, you could go Mahomes, McCole, and then maybe a Travis Kelce, but Kelce at 8K seems a bit too high on this slate. So, I don't know. I'm going to want some of these higher price receivers. It's just going to be kind of difficult. Like Justin Jefferson, fantastic play. Trying to get there will definitely be interesting. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown, just the sheer, 10, 9, 12, 10, the guy is constantly getting double-digit targets, 7,800. Seems like a fair price tag for him finally. DJ Shark, 4,200 too. I mean, he seems far more volatile, but tougher matchup last week than what he's going to have this week against Carolina. So I think he's somewhat interesting. And then, with this game being in a dome, that's going to be something that heavily influences me this week. And so I don't think that take is so crazy going Gardner Minshew. And then I think you take it a step further if you want to get crazy. You double stack it with Devonta Smith, AJ Brown. You bet on talent there. Those two guys are studs, absolute studs. And we know Minshew can, we haven't seen him in quite some time, but we know he can get it done. So I do have a little bit of interest in those two receivers as well if you're stacking that game up.
All right, guys, click that like button, click that subscribe button. It helps us out over here at Run Pure Sports. We are happy to be doing these shows for you for free over on the YouTube channel. So click that. I gotta bring up a comment in the chat. Okay, I'm just gonna read this comment. That was a fixed game. Ain't no way. 30 points. Come on, bro. Fix it. Flip, twist it. Any kind of way. That game was fixed. The game wasn't fixed.
How many times have they done that though this year where they're down by 21 and that's what the Vikings do? I mean,
yeah.
I just love that this guy somehow thinks that a team of 65 players, 2 teams of 65 players, that a bunch of coaching staffs and a bunch of people in the front office are keeping it quiet that it was a fixed game. I just find that crazy. Yeah, smash the like, folks. It helps us out. Also, let's like some tight ends because obviously.
So real quick with receiver and stacks and everything, one thing I've almost been trying to do is, okay, let's look at this from a big picture standpoint. What spots are going to bust? Like it's almost like the NFL right now. It's you got to reverse engineer it. You got to, okay, who's going to bust? Eliminate that, and what does that leave you with? Like,
I mean,
do you guys
say
have
one of these top running backs probably bust, so it's tough to imagine any of them busting.
Can't be McCaffrey this week. I mean,
it can't. I mean, we've seen it. Like we see it all the time, where it's just like,
I could see Henry possibly busting this week.
Yeah.
I could too. Texans defense has been, dude, they're playing. They're not good, but they are playing. I could see the Texans winning potentially. So I'm with you guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of spots. There's some other wide receivers too that I like it since I didn't go down really in the low range. Peoples-Jones has been really freaking solid with Deshaun Watson. So he's interesting to me, honestly, against the Saints at $5,100. I don't know if you guys have any interest there. I'll go back to Chris Olave too in that game on the other side at 6,100. Those are just a couple guys I'm looking at down here. I don't know if you guys got any value receivers you're kind of looking at, AP, but those are a couple guys that stand out to me down there.
Yeah, I like that call. I do worry about the Browns game just flying by. Like last week, it was against the Ravens, but I mean that game seemed like it was done in like 2 hours. It was crazy.
I mean the Browns game is a 32.5 point total. Like I don't think we can get excited about any of these guys. Like if Nick Chubb ends up being out, I would play Kareem Hunt. These other guys, I just don't think I could do it.
Did you guys see the ticket prices for that game? I think they're
it's
like trying to give them away.
It's gotta be
they're trying to give tickets away.
But I mean, do you guys go to NFL games? Is that something you guys do?
No.
For years, FanDuel was like, hey, do you want to come up to Chicago? You can sit in our suite. And I'm just like, I'm good. I don't think I've been to an NFL game. Probably 2005, 2006 was the last time I was at game. Like why? And that was a fun game. It was like Bengals Colts when they were both good. Monday Night Football in Indianapolis. Like that was a fun game. But I don't know. Do you guys have like the worst?
My last game I went to, is that the question?
Yeah, like what's the last game you went to?
It was actually the Super Bowl. Got a little humble brag there. Went to I thought so we bought the tickets. It was Mahomes. Everything was going through Arrowhead. This was 2018 or 19. It was when Tom Brady got his 6th ring. So like I was convinced that the Chiefs were going to make it. So we bought the tickets early, me and my dad. And I'm like, we got to do it early or else prices are going to go up like 3 times. So we locked it in, and then we had to go watch the most boring Super Bowl ever. It was terrible. It was so bad. Do you guys remember that game? The Rams and Patriots?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. I was actually I went to a Super Bowl. I went to the Cardinals-Steelers Super Bowl.
It was probably better than the one I went to.
Coldest night of my life. It was in Detroit in February with like 30-mile-an-hour wind. It was indoors. But yeah, it was. That was a rough one. That was
last football game I went to was Lambeau whenever the 49ers were there for the playoffs and the 49ers beat Green Bay. That's nice. I had a beer in my hand and it froze like 2 minutes after I opened it. Like while I was
that would be cool though. I'd love to go to like Lambeau. I would also love to go to a Bill, like if the Chiefs were playing the Bills or something for the AFC Championship, and it was through. I would legit consider going because that would be such a fun experience. Go up there, party with them.
Paint the Chiefs symbol on your chest. Take your shirt off in February.
I heard the Bills fans are awesome. Like I heard they are a really, really nice group. Yeah, and they party hard. So
yeah, they definitely party hard. I know that. I would not survive in Bills territory. Like I just promise you that. You send me a Buffalo, I wouldn't come out alive. Like it would just because I would try and keep up and it would just be a disaster, just a complete disaster. Speaking of complete disaster, let's talk about tight ends because you get Travis Kelce up top, and you get Mark Andrews, who's just been absent with Tyler Huntley. I think that changes this week. And then it's just a bunch of dudes. Like Locks, how do you ever feel good about this position?
By spending up.
Okay.
To be honest, the only time I ever feel good is when I play Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
To be dead honest with you. But I think Mark Andrews bounces back. We've just seen too many good games, and I've seen his game log with Huntley, and generally he gets peppered. So I'm okay going right back to him at $5,500 against a terrible Atlanta defense. I think he's going to come in super low owned too because he has been sucking. So honestly, he's probably my favorite tight end play of the week. 8K is a little too steep for Kelsey this week. Maybe not, but I just think so because of all the other spend ups I want to get to at running back and wide receiver. So I'm going to have to go down a little bit there, but Andrews is interesting. Hawkinson is interesting against the Giants. Really, I don't feel good about anything else. Maybe Okonkwo, our boy Okonkwo at 3,500. He's another one I feel okay about, but yeah, I mean, I'd rather spend up at the tight end because spending down, you're just hoping for a few points in all honesty.
Yeah, Chingaquanku, I mean, this is a guy that's gotten 10 points in 3 straight and he's 3,500. I think you absolutely have to have interest there against Houston. Andrews is a guy 5,500. I just think he's too cheap for the upside, man. Like I don't know. AP, do you think he gets owned?
I mean, I think people might click TJ Hawkinson over him.
I think Hawkinson will be popular with that
yeah.
with that total. Yeah.
The more I look at it, I'm with Locks, man. Kelsey tight ends have been destroying the Seahawks too. I mean, Kittle had a huge performance against them last week. 8K, you got to find a way to get there, which means probably punting that at a quarterback. But sometimes, like when you do that, it forces you to make some big fades, like fading Henry and fading like another high-priced guy. And when those guys bust, due to roster construction getting you different can be the difference. So like definitely mess around with those Kelsey builds and just to get an idea of what you're forced to do, what fades you're forced to make, because just by roster construction, you can get a little bit different. So I do think Kelsey is a little interesting. Dawson Knox, man, it just seems like this guy crushes when we get into cold weather time. We're starting to see it, 7 targets against the Jets, 8 against Miami last week. I think he's a guy right now that we all should be very interested in. 4,100, not a bad price tag there. And then, yeah, TJ Hawkinson. You can go back to Chig if you wanted to also. He's been very productive. No touchdowns last week. I will say
somebody in the chat did have a good point on Chig because Malik Willis is coming back and Treylon Burks is coming back.
Okay, yeah. We move off Chig then. Yep.
Yeah. It's
Treylon Burks is a stud though.
Yes, Treylon Burks is a stud, but he's still got Malik Willis throwing him the football. And man, oh man, they're just going to put the ball in Derrick Henry's belly 35 times. Like, I don't know what choice they have. Like, Malik Willis ain't the answer. Like, that was, you mentioned Dawson Knox. It's like he took over the Gabe Davis role almost, because Gabe Davis is putting up these stat lines that Dawson Knox used to get and vice versa. I don't know. I don't mind Dawson Knox this week, but personally, if I can afford Andrews, I'm going to Andrews. How's that little Huntley Andrews? I don't even have to worry about a run back just because I get the whole offense. Come on, Locks. I know you're with me, baby.
I'm okay with that. The guy, I just think this is a perfect spot for a Gabe Davis freaking nuke somehow. He always seems to nuke in a random spot. So I'm off of the Knox.
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I really like that, man. All right, from now to the end of the year, Gabe Davis is going to win someone some money, right? And so it's just like, get on. I love that call, man. I'm with you on Gabe Davis now, Lux.
I just got burned by Gabe Davis so many times this year. Like, I get it. And maybe had I not been on him in weeks 1 through 10, I would feel differently.
Craig, I got burned by Joval many a times, and I get off, and what happens? He puts up a 70 piece. I mean, that's what happens.
Yeah, they said in the chat, I'm playing Gabe every week till he hits. I can't play him, can't stop now. I get it.
The one concern with Baltimore is, gosh, they have 3 tight ends that are all getting snaps. They're getting targets. Josh Oliver, Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews. So I do see him being lower owned. People will see that. They'll move to Hawkinson, who gets peppered with targets.
With Andrews, it's just he hasn't been. It's not like he's been getting no targets. I mean, he's still at 8.77, 6.7. He just hasn't been catching passes lately. So I mean, he catches another couple of those, and who knows? It maybe turns the game around for him. I just think Huntley trusts Andrews. I just think one of these days he's going to be super low and he's going to bust the slate wide open. He's going to have one of those 25-point games.
It is a phenomenal buy low opportunity on Andrews. We like getting 5,500 for him. That just is not something that's happened for years. And people are going to look at Huntley. Well, I don't want to play Andrews with Huntley. I don't want to play Andrews in that low total when I can just save $600 and play Hawkinson. To me, Andrews is a phenomenal buy low ownership candidate because he's got 25-point upside. And if you got a guy like that kind of upside at a position where we don't really like anybody outside of Kelsey, I think Andrews is in a phenomenal spot.
Jawan Johnson just scored how
oh
many?
God. He scored 2 scores. I know that because I watched them both and cried a little bit inside every time because I had Kamara. I'm just like, that should have been out. Like, they put up freaking 30 points or whatever it was, and Kamara just did nothing. It was unbelievable.
You were tilted. I had
Kamara,
freaking Olave in the final. I was freaking tilted.
Oh,
Shaheed
man.
and freaking Jawan Johnson.
Oh, Shaheed. I was stuck. How was Shaheed 2% owned in your final? Like, 4 people clicked on that button.
I don't know. I really don't get it.
I think I do a pretty damn good job of finding cheap, shitty receivers that are going to pop off. And he wasn't even remotely on my radar. Like, that was one of the first plays of the year where I just looked like, how did these people get on that guy?
I thought I was in such a good spot with the low-owned Olave in that game, and it just crushed me.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I don't know. The Shaheed thing was, it's not very often that I look at a guy like that and say, yeah, normally I can see some rationale. I had nothing on Shaheed. So if you guys picked him, well done. Congratulations. It was not even a little bit on my radar. Shaheed been on the radar for Showdown. Yeah, for Showdown, not on 10-game slate. So the chat, Shaheed with the hands up. All right. Congratulations to you guys. Disgusted. Let's talk some defenses because, people are going to like Derrick Henry this week, but AP, the Texans at 2,500 against Malik Willis, that's going to be a tough one for me to ignore.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Their defense looked good against Mahomes last week, and Malik Willis. I'm with you on the Texans. What about the Eagles? 2,200 against the fraudulent Dallas Cowboys. I think it's they're going to have to really lean on their defense, I think, which is a decent defense. In the spot, so I don't mind that. I'm definitely talking through this. I can already tell you, give me any defense that's 2K to 2,500. I don't care who it is.
Yep.
We're gonna need savings, and I prefer to get it at all. It takes is like 1 pick six or a scoop. Like, there's so much luck variance, volatility that comes into the defense position, which is why I don't like it, but. Give me all the cheapies this week. Eagles, I think they're in play. I think, I even think like Carolina isn't, even though the Lions have been good, I think Carolina is in play. They're still in the playoff.
Washington's
right?
in play. Yeah. Carolina's in the hunt. Washington's in play against a 3rd-string quarterback for San Francisco. Yeah. I know San Francisco's not a team that messes up a lot, but Washington, they've got a little bit of a pass rush. I don't mind them in 2,400.
I like that too. Yeah. So give me, I'm on board for anyone 2,500 and under. That's where I'm at this week for defense.
Lox, anything stand out to you?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And that's where I got different last week is I knew everyone was going to jam the Chargers in there. And I'm sitting there looking like, oh, the Titans defense is $2,200, and they haven't been awful. So I played them in the live final at, I think, 7% or something, and they got me 8 points. I'll take that from a $2,200 defense all day. I can get so many other places with a defense. So I always try to find somebody. I'm with AP. I always try to find somebody in that 2,500 or at least under $3,000 defense. I can't get a spend up at that spot because there's too many other places to spend up. I'd say just looking at this right away, yeah, the Texans jump out at me against Malik Willis at $2,500. That's probably my favorite one that I'm seeing right off the bat here. Patriots maybe against Cincinnati. The Patriots D has looked good. I know Cincinnati looks good, but the Patriots D, they always try to shut down the best player. We know Belichick. They're never fully out of a game. They're only $2,700. So, interest there. Eagles is a great call against Dallas at $2,200, another $2,200 defense. So, yeah, I'm going to be spending most of my time in this $2,000 to $2,500 range as well. It just gets you so many other places in the rest of your lineup.
Quick question. Dallas has to be the chalk at 2,600, right?
I would
against Minshew, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a nice leverage. You're what?
I'm getting away from that.
Yeah, that's like your cash game because you can get so much leverage just moving off of that. So I'm with you guys there.
Yeah, there's just a lot. Like, I don't know. Can any of these spots be super chalk? If Dallas is good, Houston is good, Washington, Carolina, Philadelphia.
Kids
You
in your
enjoy the
head.
show.
He's in your head, Crain.
It's been all show, man. It's been all show, and he means well. But what are you gonna do? Just poking me in the face. What do you want from me? Okay. So here's a question: if there are so many viable cheap defenses, if we could spend up at defense, like, is that the craziest thing this week? Locks?
I mean, it's not the craziest thing. I don't see myself doing it. You could play like a Baltimore at $3,200 against Atlanta and Desmond Ridder. Maybe some interest there, but really, I don't know. I can't get myself there. Buffalo at $4,000, no way. With Fields, maybe the 49ers at 3,900 if you're going to spend up, but I just can't do it. I'll take the $1,400 in savings and spend down. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm just trying, first look, just trying to bounce some ideas off people.
Yeah.
AP, final thoughts on the slate for you?
Yeah, I know my final thoughts on defense is I can't spend up just looking at this.
There are a lot of really good cheap spots.
Yeah, I mean, it aligns with my thoughts though. Like it's going to be, it looks like a fun slate on the surface. We're going to need value to get safety into our lineups. But again, I don't think I'm going to let any one player kind of dictate my build path. I think I'm just going to kind of naturally let it happen. And if paying up for Kelsey, for example, forces me to fade Justin Jefferson or Derrick Henry, then you just think about different ways to get different, like KJ Osborne. He's looked very good. Adam Thielen has looked very bad. So maybe the way is in those builds where you're forced to fade Jefferson, maybe you look at a guy like KJ Osborne. I mean, there's different ways to benefit from, or create leverage from fading key guys. So love Justin Jefferson this week, but I'm just saying, I'm not going to build around any one guy. Is kind of my sound thoughts.
Yeah, I'm playing with the build right now, and I'm trying to do Henry and Jefferson, and it's tough. Like, that is a tough way to try and go. Locks, any final thoughts on the slate for you?
Not really. Just, pick your spots. To me, there's a lot of good spots. There's a lot of bad spots. Obviously, you can cross off a couple games, I think, this week. Obviously, as we go along, just pay attention in the Discord to injury news. Obviously, injuries are the most important thing. So we got a few days for all those to roll in, and just, I don't know, pick your spots and stick with it. I think that's what I learned most this weekend was I was comfortable with my lineup. I left it. Just leave it, stop changing stuff all around. That's when I do my worst, is when I start overthinking everything and changing stuff around. If you got a gut feeling, go with that. I'd say that's probably my first time I haven't opened my DraftKings from set the lineup and changed it 10 minutes before it started. So
what did you do? What did you do to make sure that you didn't open it? Were you just did you
watched the World Cup?
Hey, there you go.
I watched the whole game of the World Cup. I walked downstairs. It was 3-2 when I walked downstairs. And I walked downstairs and it's 3-3. I'm like, oh shit. No, I really don't have to pay attention to my DraftKings. I was happy with my lineup. I've never actually, honestly, that was the first time I've ever done it. First time I've ever left it. Literally from 3:30 in the morning till lock. I never touched a single thing.
And it felt good, right?
Not really.
Well,
it didn't feel good, but once it locked, I was like, okay, I'm happy with my lineup because that's what I fell on. It just happened that Michael Gallup and Olave kind of let me down a little bit. Otherwise, it'd probably been top 10, but it is what it is. You can always look back.
Yes, sir. All right, that's going to do it for us, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Tournament First Look over here on Run Pure Sports. Check us out over on runpuresports.com. We got a lot going on, obviously. We got premium if you want that. We've got, I almost forgot. Guys, I almost forgot. If you guys are wanting to check it out and be a member, use promo code HOHOHO25. You get 25% off the first payment on your monthly subscription. And God, Merry Christmas to you guys. We got a lot going on. And also, I forgot to congratulate the 2 Million Maker winners over last week in Deepwater and Gordon Jonathan. Congratulations. And we got to get off here. Why? Because my kid, who has been standing next to me for a solid, hour, he is just simply not going to let me talk. So thanks you so much for tuning in. Lox, thanks for joining me. AP, thanks for joining me. Simon, thanks for producing behind the scenes. I'm Eric. He's Jackson. We'll catch y'all later. Peace.